Yep, g'day. Steve and Kerry from offthegridnice.com again. Sitting outside after the day, end of the day. Got the fire going. Got the YouTube running. Good old timers. Lots of good music. Anyway, the point of this video is off the grid and the laws, regulations, limitations and the fear. It's a big topic. I'm not going to jam it all into one video, so before all of your monthly bandwidth goes away, I'm not going to do it. Just going to make this the first one. We see all too often here, look at that fire. Not bad, eh? It's pretty friggin' warm too. This topic of the laws and regulations is quite important for the newer people. I'm going to qualify this by almost excluding people who are totally conforming. If you've got a house and, yeah, Spirit in the Sky, good track, getting distracted again. But yeah, if you've got a house and you're totally complied, that's all very well. That's great, that's good. No one's going to bitch to you about that, no, I'm certainly not going to. But most, or a lot, of off-gridders run into this thing called the law, the system, and they get tangled up in the fear. I want to only address a couple of things in this video, and that is, I want people to look at, and this is not advocating anarchy or any such bullshit, although listening to the Spirit in the Sky might actually sort of be steering down that road, but it's not to do with anarchy, it's not to do with non-compliance necessarily. It's to do with the fear that people have with compliance. When it comes to rules and regulations off-grid, you know, we have people who live in all manner of buildings that comply or not comply one way or the other. We have people that comply and do all the right things with the checkbook to back it up. And we have people like me and Kerry who are sort of, we ride in the middle, you know. We are certainly not totally compliant. You know, I did a video on the off-grid thing, you know, we're off-grid. We may have high-speed NBN, check that out. Great old video. I shouldn't get distracted, should I? Anyway, that might end. I don't know what the next one is. But yeah, Crimson and Clover. Oh, look, I should turn this up. Who gives a shit about compliance? Anyway, back to compliance. Lots of people are scared about what they do, how they do it, why they do it. I think people have to focus on not so much compliance, but what they can do to not be classed as anti-system, rebellious, anarchist. I think that is an incorrect way to go for new people. And by no means am I suggesting that everybody that is thinking down this road of off the grid should comply. That's not the point. What you have to do is look at the system that we are all enveloped within. Don't you love this track? Oh, look at that. Alright, stuff it. Look at that. It's a great track. I shouldn't probably put this video up, but yeah. What you have to look at is the system that you're enveloped in has all these things to do with scaring the shit out of you. And what you need to do is look at what you want to do and look for the back doors. And I don't mean go grab a firearm and do anything bloody ridiculous or dig a hole in the ground and build a bunker. I'm talking about look for the back doors. I'm going to give one forum, actually one faceplant page a plug. Off the Grid Living Australia. There was a thread up there about someone suggesting a houseboat. Now this is what this part of this video is going to be about. The very first part of this thing about laws, restrictions, compliance and the system. This thread that was on Off the Grid Living Australia was to do with houseboats. A beautiful subject that myself and Kerry have looked into a lot. You can actually work around the laws that exist without breaking them, as far as a pontoon building, pontoon, they would call it a pontoon house, if you have a dam and a few acres, and there are no laws to deal with that. And I know you'll all go searching and ring the council up. First mistake, don't ring the... I nearly said the bad F word. I'm trying not to do that. If you watch my other videos, I have a bit of a problem with that. Don't ring the frickin' council up. The council will tell you anything they feel is deemed to be appropriate or within the boundaries of their scope of thinking. That is not what you want to know. What you need to know is you need to know the laws as they exist and find the back doors and look around. Bolt wheels onto your little house, your little tiny house. I don't care if you bolt wheels on that don't actually go. If it's on wheels, it's transportable. You automatically fall outside their boundaries to a degree. To do with habitable space, another really good topic. Habitable space is actually something they deem that you can actually live in. Well, I've got news for you. They might class a shed or a lean-to as habitable space. But if you stick your bathroom and your laundry or whatever in another building and bolt some wheels onto it, that becomes a movable, transportable, temporary caravan-style building. And that can actually sit on site. Because otherwise they're going to have to run around and bust every bastard that's got a fucking... Oh, I said it. A freaking caravan. No, they don't. They don't. You have to stop admitting that you live there permanently. Comply to their request when they say, do you live there, by saying you live there for 3 months at a time, and then turn around and do whatever you want. They will go away. I know. Oh, look at this. Good track. I digress again. I should turn some of these up. Yeah, they're old tracks. The old tracks have been lost. But yeah, you can actually do a lot of things to do with non-compliance by not actually breaking the rules. You just have to look for the little bits and bobs that the buggers... I nearly said bastards. Well, actually, then I just did say bastards. You have to look for the bits and pieces that they perhaps haven't bothered to sit down and write a rule for. As far as this compliance stuff goes, I would like anyone that watches this video to look up the term straw man. I've mentioned this before. If you're interested in law and rights and the fact that most of us live under a bogus set of rules that have been agreed to by ourselves, and that's the only reason that the buggers get away with it. Look up straw man, and when you finish looking up straw man, look up free man. Just type free man law into Wikipedia. You'll be shocked by what you find. Free man law is what a lot of people around the world, not just in Australia but around the world, have tried to invoke. The system, because most people comply, has never acknowledged free man law. Yet, once you've looked up Admiralty law and things to do with the law as it stands today and where it came from, you will soon realise that free man law actually is it's very morally right. And within the terms of the law as it stands today is pretty much right. But because there are not enough people out there willing to break the law as it stands, we are all way too compliant. If you had... I'll give you an example, alright? You might have a law called taxation. Fine. We all have to comply to that, including myself and Kerry. But if 1 million, 2 million in Australia, 20 million people decided not to pay taxation, they can't do anything to you. If you as an individual attempt to not pay taxation, they will probably put you to the sword. In the old days, you know, let's go way back to do with law. We had people that in the dark ages they used to call witches. They made all sorts of brews. And I shouldn't mention brews because I'll probably go over there and focus on things that I make brews out of, but we only make distilled water, so it's okay. But yeah, they had people way back then that stepped outside the boundaries of conforming, and they used herbs and bits and pieces. And they actually burnt them at the stake. They didn't burn at the stake because they were evil. They burnt them at the stake because they defied the current day thinking. And I know all of us off-gridders, we feel isolated in our own way, so we don't conform to current day, or we do tend to conform to current day thinking. But if you are off-grid, within this video I'd like you to at least take the time, and I'm not going to draw this right out, not without at least focusing on the next good track that comes through, but I'd like you to focus on having a look at the thing called Straw Man. Lots of good videos on it. People way better than me have put this up before. And the things to do with free man law. It may open your eyes if you have never looked at it. And yes, if you've got $1 million property and you're conforming to everything, but you still class yourself as off-grid, that's fine. I'm not here to bag you people. But all the people out there that are suffering the fear, well, they may want to have a look at this stuff, not to turn around and take up arms or do anything ridiculous, but to know where you stand. And then maybe when you go back to design your off-grid life, you can do one thing that I really do like to advocate, and that is look at the law and try to work within it and just outside of it. Because the people we put in power, our elected representatives, should be putting all these laws to the people for approval, but they haven't. We have a system, unfortunately, that takes too much power from the people. Actually, it takes all the power from the people under the guise of our elected representatives that run around. Let's take one example of that. Do not ourselves, the people, or did we not in the old days used to own our own country? Did we not by default, let's say, own our own utilities? And what has our elected representatives done over the last 30 years? They have sold all of our assets off to overseas entities and private corporations. The people don't seem to own anything anymore because our elected representatives did not put it to a referendum. In a democracy, I would imagine, well, like the old days, you used to have a referendum about all manner of things. These days, we have all sorts of things that, you just turn the TV on, bingo. Our elected representatives have gone and sold something. They have taken more assets that the people own and put them on the free market, supposedly for the good of the people. That's bullshit. That's fucking bullshit. I use the word. That's fucking bullshit. You have to watch with this system how far you go and how you approach it and how far you research it. If you look up, or when you look up, hopefully, free man, chuck it into Wikipedia. One of the bottom lines that shocked me was that people who try and pull the free man law, and the free man law sort of extends across Canada, New Zealand, Australia, all the Commonwealth countries. One of the bottom lines that freaked me out was that at the end of one line that actually mentioned the FBI was the word terrorist. I kid you not, look it up. Now that's an absolute shocker. To think that you could be a non-compliant individual and be somehow even mentioned in a line within the description of free man, and even referenced in any way to a terrorist, shocked the shit out of me. I encourage you to go and look at that. I'm not going to take this video too much further than this. You need to look at where you stand. You need to lose the fear. You need to work within this stinking system. I nearly used the F word then. You need to work within this stinking system and actually step around it, step sideways, think outside the square, and then do what you want to do within the confines that this stinking system has not yet quite locked down. And be rest assured, they will lock all this down. Oh, here's a good track. I'm going to turn this up. Yeah. I am going to shut this video down quickly. I might make a few on this, on different topics. Yeah, I know, it's easy for Steve sitting there off the grid with his fire going. But yeah, I really hate seeing all the questions come up about how fearful people are of doing what they're doing. Like I said, there is a thread on Off the Grid Living Australia, and it was to do with houseboats, and it's something we looked at quite deeply, and it does have a component to it that steps around the system. Doesn't defy it, they just haven't got to that yet. So you need to search for those. Put wheels on your building, make it portable or simulate it portable. Don't admit to anything. Don't call the authorities and ask permission. The authorities will give you permission only based on the guidelines, that their rules that you and I had no input with when they were put in place. They will only give you advice, and more to the point, they will only command that you follow their rules. You need to be aware of this, not defy it, not take up arms, not run around bloody naked with a sign outside the council offices. I'm sure they will get very pissed off with that. But yeah, this whole question of the laws, the restrictions, the authorities, it's a big one. It's a real big one. And I will do more on this. And anyway, I'm going to leave it at that. I really like you to, I'm going to repeat this and then I'm going to go to a bit of music. You need to look up, see that? Freedom. In this day and age, freedom is just another word for nothing left to lose. Yeah. Yeah, well, feeling good enough is not good enough for me. Yeah, how's that? A great old track. Yeah, you really have to look at where you stand. You have to look at the laws as they stand. Look at the effect that they have on you. Maybe think outside the square. And that is very important, that you think outside the square. Total conformity. If the world gets to the point where nobody conforms, well, the stuff that's in place that everyone is conforming to will collapse. They only get by doing what they do because people like you and me, we comply. And unfortunately at the moment there are not enough people not complying. And I think that just sounded like a call for anarchy. It's not. There needs to be more people punch this thinking out there. And then we may get past the years that history has shown in the dark ages, where we used to burn people at the stake for working around and dealing outside the system. And maybe instead of being put to the sword and called an anarchist or a terrorist today, if enough people stood outside the square and thought a bit broadly about what they're doing and stepped around the system, dodged a few bullets as they say, we all might progress and move forward. The whole society might move forward. And unless people like me put this stuff out there, and there's a lot of people doing this, not just me, but if less people step outside the square and do a little bit of this stuff, we're all stuck with the same dumb, I'm going to say it, alright? I'm sorry, I don't like to offend people, but I'm going to say it. If not enough people step outside the square, we're going to be stuck with the same dumb fuck system that screws everyone over, tells everyone what to do, and everyone will be that scared shitless they'll put the same stupid fucking question up over and over and over. They're not stupid fucking questions, but it's stupid that people put them up over and over and over without stopping to look at the reasons why we all comply. Oh look, John Lennon. Yes. So anyway, That's it from Stephen Carey from offthegridnoz.com. Just look at those two things. The straw man, type it into Wikipedia, read about it, then jump on YouTube, look at it, type in Freeman's Law into Wikipedia, look at it, read it if you're interested, jump on YouTube, plenty on it. And that's all I'm going to say about it tonight. Been a working day, did a couple of hours for the man, came home, did my own stuff, lit the fire, and now we got John Lennon. You're gonna love it. Imagine all the people. I'll let you listen to this. You're gonna love that. We all need a cause. Off the grid. Off the grid is a cause in its own way. You may say I'm a dreamer. I do like this track. It comes up all the time. When I type in my music searches on YouTube, John comes up a lot. Think about what you're doing. That's it from me and Kerry. I'll leave you in peace. Subscribe and like if you like. Not going to twist your arm up your back. Hope you had a good day. Hope it was a productive one. Hope it was a positive one. I hope you're thinking positive. I hope you do some research and look into the couple of words or the terms that I've put through this video. Man, come back to me and ask some questions if you want, or not. Do your own research, as they say. And we'll catch you on the next one. And I'm going to end it with John again. And shut it down. See you guys, that's it from us. Catch you on the next one. Do your research. Bye.